do so. So at this time, we're going to have a couple family members come up. First off, we're going to have Sandra Hart, Rudy's sister. So Sandra, if you want to make your way to the front.
Hello, I'm Sandra, Rudy's little sister. I know, I'll explain about the little part here. I have wrote a few things down. I figured that it would be very interesting to know how Rudy, the master today, when he was a young grasshopper, how he got started, what it was like to grow up in the house with him. It was, well, let me give you a background. And I had to keep notes so that I wouldn't wander off and make it all about me. We're a small family of three, me and my two older brothers. Rick is our oldest brother, and me and Rick were kind of quiet and shy and okay to, stay in the back and never cause trouble or ruffle anybody's feathers, or, we're the sweet people. And then there's Rudy. Rudy was the opposite. He was very curious, nosy, full of questions, and very wanting to know things, eager to learn. And our mother brought us up to be very loving. We never fought physically like some brothers and sisters do. We just, found our own ways to get back at each other. And as you'll see, that Rudy had plenty. We grew up when Rudy was about, 10 or 11. He, became infatuated with Bruce Lee. I don't know how he got into Rudy's life, but Rudy always had pictures of Bruce Lee everywhere in his room, and he got the nunchucks, and he was eager to want to be like him. So the fun part growing up for me was we would go to the theater downtown. I don't remember the Alamo or what it was called back then, and we watched every Bruce Lee movie ever made at that time. I always thought it was fun because I got to go with him, and I just loved to go and watch these Bruce Lee movies with Rudy, and so that was fun for me. On the weekends, my mom would let us go and drop us off, and we'd hang out there. So that was a very good memory for me. But one thing, as Rudy became more and more Bruce Lee infatuated, he figured my mom, thought it would be good to get him into school to learn how to defend himself, and my brothers as they were growing up, even though she was, I don't think, never afraid that he would ever use it on my brother or myself, but that, it would be put to good use. So, with that said, he grew up, and being the sweet, innocent, shy sister that I am, I was always willing to be a victim for him as he learned his techniques, the punches, the kicks, the blocks. He'd always say, come here, let me do this, so here I am trying to humor him and do it. So after a while, that was fun, but then it got annoying to live with that every day, punching and chopping and kicking and poking and everything he could possibly do constantly. I mean constantly, okay? I'm not exaggerating. Constantly. And it was like, stop already. But Rudy never knew the word no. He was very persistent about wanting you to learn like he learned every move of karate. So, one day as we joked about it last Sunday actually as a family. We were gathering around and we knew that Rudy was destined for this. And we joked about how my mom actually prepared him for karate, for the high blocks and the low blocks, because he was always the one that got his ears pulled or pinched in the leg because he was always doing things he wasn't supposed to be doing. So Rudy always figured he'd have to, it would come in handy, all his slick moves and stuff. So we were laughing and joking about that, but Rudy has always been one who was determined to do things his way, which is not a bad thing, but in some ways it was annoying. And when we were having to do things at times, and my mom was very strict with us as far as doing our chores and stuff, but Rudy always managed to find a way to slip in his karate. So one day that is always fresh in my memory, and we always laugh about today, was that I realized that Rudy cared more about his punishment than he did my life, because one day he was supposed to be cleaning out the garage, and I was with my mom. She would work on her hair and stuff, and so she had went off to go get something, and Rudy had instructions to go and clean the garage. But of course, again, Rudy eats, lives, and breathes karate, so he was like, okay, what can I do? There's my sister. So he came up to me and he was like, put your hands up, do this, block this whenever I come at you. So he thought he'd do that knife hand move, that real harmless one, that spear hand. So I said, okay. So I put my hands up. And he went, block it when it comes at you. So I said, okay, I'm going to block it, And so he did it, and of course I'm not as coordinated as he was, and so I missed the block, and it hit me here, and it knocked the air out of me. So I was like, and my eyes started to well up, and tears were going to start coming, and he knew my mom was about to come around the corner. So of course Rudy started to fear my mother, so in all his brightness, he said, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll just get this towel and shove it in her face so my mom can't see her crying. So he picks up the towel and puts it in my face so I can't breathe even more than I already couldn't, and the tears were running, and he's jumping up and down trying to calm me down, and it was hysterical. You had to be there, but I finally started laughing because I saw the fear in his eyes of my mom really going to get on him for hurting his little sister. And so once Rudy realized I was okay and I started to breathe and laugh, he patted me on the shoulder and pretended like nothing happened. And he walked out, and my mom comes, okay, let's start. And I thought, to this day we laugh, I said, Mom, you have no idea what you just missed. I almost died, And Rudy was absolutely no help in making me better. But Rudy was always very eager to use his techniques and stuff that he learned growing up. And being Rudy, many kids in the school heard about Rudy. Back in the day, fighting was the thing. We didn't do guns and stuff like that. And so Rudy, the word got out that this boy Rudy knew karate. And then everybody thought, oh, he knows karate. Well, let's just see how good he is. So people were always wanting to fight. In his defense, he never really started any fights. Guys really didn't want to fight with Rudy. And see how good he was. And although he was very respectful of my mom's wishes not to start anything, he did try not to fight. Although, people said things about my mom, growing up and how kids are. And, he didn't like to see me get picked on. Not that anybody picked on me, but any opportunity that guys pushed him and forced his hand, he would want to fight. So Rudy would fight after school. And I was told I was little. I was like in first grade. Rudy was already in 5th in elementary, and he was getting ready to leave school. And I grew up in the shadows of Rudy for that reason of being a fighter. And Rudy so much wanted to be protector of me growing up. He, I remember one time a little boy had kissed me in the first grade. Rudy got so mad, and he told me to go the next day and beat him up. I said, Rudy, I should beat him up. The poor little kid, he's just, trying to get a kiss, and he wanted me to flip him and kill him. But I couldn't do that, So, Rudy was always like that. I could never have a boyfriend because Rudy just had to look at him, and they're like, oh, your brother don't like me. I thought I was going to be single all my life because of Rudy. But Rudy grew up, and he learned that that's not how it works. Because eventually I had to say, Mom, make Rudy stop. Stop scaring my boyfriends away. But Rudy was very determined. He figured that his job was to, I think in my eyes, was to protect me and to protect my mom and to be protector. And he did it with good taste. Rudy was never one to go out and seek trouble, but he always felt that it was right to use it in the proper way. I believe that he was taught when he took karate. I know the instructors teach them to have respect and to be respectful to the parents and to people when you use your karate. You don't just go out there and fight with whoever, but to use it in the defense. Although Rudy at times was forced to use it because he was a kid. And he did it sometimes, I think, because he enjoyed it, but there were times I think he did it because he felt the need to. But I am proud of Rudy today. He has accomplished a lot in the years growing up. He has persevered. Anything I've learned from Rudy was to be perseverance, determined, and to go after your dream. Rudy has done that. He's had his struggles. He's had things that his trials and stuff, but Rudy has always never given up. From a little boy to where he is now, and to the goal that I know I don't know if I don't know how long he plans on doing this, but I know this is a milestone in his life to be master. And not only that, but we are remembering his birthday as well. He's my much older brother. He's 50 today, and we celebrate that as well. I just wanted to say that I'm thankful to God that He's watched over him and He's kept him. And that Rudy has always put lately in his life, God in his life first. And that I know he tries to be an example. And I'm not going to cry, okay? So don't even think that.
Aww.
Rudy has not only taught us all that, but he's very patient and good and in bad. Sometimes we want to go crazy because he's teaching us patience, but we love him for that because that's how God created him. Rudy is perfect in every way. And I know my story is nothing in comparison to the great men that are to come, but he's my brother. And I just wanted to share a little about the fact that he comes from a deep love of what he does today. And I can't think of anybody, other than Bruce Lee himself, but who's loved karate like Rudy. Rudy, you look up karate, you see Rudy. Because Rudy is just, he's put everything into it. Everything. He sacrificed, and he's just pretty much just dedicated everything to that. So these tears are just joy of knowing that he's accomplished, I think, a lot of what he has set out to do. And I know that the Lord is going to bless him and that he's going to continue to use him, because the Lord knows what he had planned for Rudy as he grew up and where he would be today. And I'm just glad to have been part of his life and to help out the best I can when I was a little girl, to be his victim in all of those trials and errors. But with that said, Rudy, I just want to say a blessing, and I know it's one that you know. It's one that I just want to say to you today in front of everybody. That the Lord bless you and he keep you. That the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be generous to you and gracious. The Lord lift up your countenance upon you and to give you peace. And that there would be favor and good health. And that everything you do, that you continue to prosper. And that God would have favor upon you in everything that you do. And that you would be the light that he has called you to be. And that you would never want for anything. And I know I speak for my family when we say we are proud of you. And we can't wait to see the things that God has in store for you from this moment on. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to share with you all the love I have for my brother. And just to let y'all know how much I am and we are as a family. I know I speak for my family when I say these things. That we wish nothing but the best for him. And a happy, happy birthday.
It's amazing. It's there's nothing more amazing than familiar love. So with that in mind, Rick, we'll have Rick Vasquez, Rudy's brother, come up, share with us.
Ditto what she said. Rudy had a perfectly planned speech for me, but I haven't received it yet. I don't know what I'm supposed to say. No, I'm just joking. Well, a lot of things my sister said is true. I mean, Rudy lives, breathes karate. I remember when we were young, you know, I just didn't have the patience that he had to continue on the journey. He used to work a lot with kids, and I just didn't have patience for kids at that time. I was still trying to find myself. But I didn't realize at that time that Rudy would actually go on with this. I thought it would just be a hobby or something that he would do just to do. But here we are, 35 years later or whatever, and you know, he's still here, still practicing his love. So I guess he's been married twice. That's his first love and first bride, I guess. But I do want to say is that I started getting back into the martial arts 30-some years later, and it's killing me. I found out how old I really am, trying to do the things I used to be able to do with ease, and it's a process. But one thing I have learned is that, you know, being away from karate is that you don't realize that what you do to people and how you change them and mold them. Because a lot of the kids that have been in classes, they come in shy. They come in not wanting to participate or to themselves. And I've seen over the days and weeks that go by the joy in their faces, the outgoingness. You know, they're making friends. They're really enjoying themselves, which, you know, I can see he has that effect on kids, because I've talked to parents and they tell me, oh, he's like that. He doesn't talk to anybody. He's you know, reserved. And I'm glad that we're able to bring that out of a kid's life and change him, hopefully better the kid and his life. I have a problem, brother. I don't want to get emotional.
Aww.
But we had a lot of great times as kids. And, you know, like my sister said, we grew up as a close family. We didn't have those fights that kids have and you know, hatred or anything. We did have a couple of fights as kids, but nothing that ever developed to anything. It was, you know, we're mad one minute and the next we're brothers again, like nothing happened. And it only happened a couple times, and we learned, you know, that we need to love each other as family. And he takes that with him in what he does. And he does teach the kids respect to their parents, elders, teachers, and he encourages them to do their homework. A lot of things, he's a real positive light for their lives. And I'm glad that right now I'm part of that. And thank you. Oh, happy birthday to him too also. I'm surprised he made this far. But he's just right behind me. So. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. You know, it's funny how things happen as we get older. We have, and there are things that just remind us that we're getting older. When I saw Angela today, I thought, oh my gosh, I felt so old. The last time I remember seeing her, you know, was just when school was starting, college. She was starting college, and now to see where she is in her life, I thought, oh my gosh, the days, the years are speeding by. And then I look over at Rudy, and he doesn't look any older.
Nope.
I don't know how that happened, because I looked in the mirror, the years, how they have stacked up. But we want to continue on. And Angela, if you would like to come up and share memories, blessing. Oh, you're going to come together, Angela and Mike. Excellent.
All right. Well, for those of you who I don't know, I'm often referred to as Nora's daughter, but I would consider myself Rudy's daughter as well.
Aww.
And I'm Angela's husband, so I'm Rudy's son-in-law, and I'm really happy to say that because Rudy's been a big part of my life. You know, I met him in 2005, and that's when I met Angela. And we met at college, and throughout all this time, you know, Rudy's always been there. And recently, Rudy's been a very helpful mentor for me because I was always going to his gym just a sort of just to get in shape. But, you know, recently, you know, Rudy said that, you know, I see that you have potential, Michael. He goes, and if you push forward, you know, I think you can do good things. And I took that to heart with Rudy, you know, and it's very, you know, I've had mentors in the past, but Rudy, like, you know, he really put some spark into me, and I was able to pursue that, you know, with his academy. And, you know, Rudy's a very patient person. And, you know, you can see that with the kids, you can see that even with the adults. But everything that he does it 100%, and he does put interest in you. And he's always been, you know, like a pillar for me. The same thing with Nora. Nora, I see her as, you know, my second mother. You know, it's something different when it comes to me and Nora. They're always there, and they always support you with whatever you do, 100%. And I just want to thank Rudy for that.
Sorry. I just wanted to say it's been a great influence and a positive influence. And I'm really thankful for that. Rudy lives and breathes martial arts, and I guess I really didn't realize that when I was younger. It's just, it was always there. It always was a part of Rudy, and it was normal. That was everything, And I see that Rudy's taught me a lot, and everything that I know I've learned from Rudy. And I think the going theme is that you are very patient, and people learn from you. You're a great teacher, and I think one of the things that I remember the most when I was little is, I don't know how this came about, and I don't know why we would do this, but it somehow evolved. Rudy would just let me punch him as hard as I could in his stomach. And we would just do that all the time. He'd get ready, and I'd punch him, and I was thinking I was hitting him as hard as I could. And I always remember that. I don't know why we did that, but we just did. So I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for being a great influence, a part of our lives. And I'm thankful that you became a part of our lives as well. Thank you.
Everybody talks about how patient Rudy is and everything. I just remember the first time that I ever went to a class with him, and the workout started and they got going, and I was sure in about 20 minutes that I had done something horrible to him and he was trying to kill me. But by the time that we got done, the only thing I could think about was laying down. So. And I sure, but I moved on from that. So I guess that is a testament to Rudy's patience, because the next few times I was actually able to walk out of the class, not take a nap first. But moving on, I want to introduce our next speaker, who's going to be Dr. Lindsey Duncan. And Dr. Duncan has over 28 years of clinical experience in naturopathic, as a naturopathic doctor and celebrity nutritionist. He is one of the leading experts on superfoods and herbal medicine, natural remedies, and natural health. His wealth of knowledge has, coupled with his unparalleled passion for helping people achieve optimum health, has led to frequent appearances on top national shows like The View, Fox and Friends, and the Dr. Oz show. At one point, Dr. Lindsey toured the globe with motivational speaker Tony Robbins, delivering a healthy dose of wellness education to hundreds of thousands of people. Today, Dr. Lindsey is the in-demand nutritionist for household names like fashion designer Marc Jacobs, football Hall of Famer Tony Dorsett, football star Reggie Bush, and a long roster of leading celebrities and musicians and world-class politicians. After a decade of working with people one-on-one, Dr. Lindsey felt it was his calling to expand his reach and to deliver his knowledge to the masses. This led him to establish Nature's Secret and develop his own herbal and nutritional formulation. Then in 2004, he launched Genesis Today, the world's fastest growing health superfood beverage and snack company, where he currently serves as lead formulator as well as CEO and chairman of the board, while continuing to travel the globe in search of nature's best medicines. The company is known for its potent and therapeutic award-winning formulations And as a company, it practices what it calls truth in marketing. Dr. Lindsey's mission in everything he does is to help as many people as possible to achieve optimum health. So I'll give you Dr. Lindsey.
I'm honored to be here, and I can tell you that there's very few people that I would come and stand up and speak about or speak for. You could probably count them on one hand, and Rudy is one of those people, obviously. My life is different. I haven't known Rudy for 20 years. I've known Rudy for about 2 years, but my life is a very stressful life. I manage 2 companies that have offices in about 30 different countries, and I write checks to about 50,000 employees every 7 days. And so I have a very intense amount of stress on my shoulders. And my experience with Rudy is an interesting one, because Rudy is like an oasis for me. Rudy is like a detoxification. Rudy is like a breath of fresh air. I go to Rudy to release stress and frustration and tension, and to try to get balance in my life. I'll never forget, I didn't see Rudy for about 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and he goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, since the last time I saw you, I was in Japan, I was in Seoul, Korea, I was in Bangkok, Thailand, and I was in Rio de Janeiro." And he said, "Well, what are you doing?" And I said, "I'm working." And he goes, "Well, what about you?" And I said, "Well, I have to sacrifice that." And he goes, "Well, you can't. You have to be in balance." And he said, "That's what this is." He goes, I'm here to get you back into balance." Then he puts the mitts up. And I start to go back into balance. I met Rudy through Paul Buentello, the headhunter. I was sponsoring Paul in the UFC. I wasn't. One of my companies was sponsoring Paul in some of his UFC fights. And I said, "Man, I've got to work out." I said, I've got too much stress. And he goes, "I have the best person in the world for you." And he introduced me to Rudy, and then that's when I started working out with Rudy. And that has actually changed my life. I think one of the things for me about Rudy is his character. Rudy's character is a motivating character for me. Rudy's persona, Rudy's personality. Rudy is not one to, come on, and scream and pound. And, it's like when I would get up to go work out with Rudy, I did it because I enjoyed it. And Rudy could be tough, and Rudy would always push me, but he pushed me because I liked Rudy. He didn't push me because he was pounding on me or beating on me. Life does that to me enough. Life does that to all of us enough. I didn't need my sensei or my coach or my teacher pounding on me. I got that for 16 hours a day anyway. Rudy, with love and with intelligence and with sophistication, took me to my level that I would go to, and then he took me beyond. And it's a very interesting technique that he has. And he does it with love, and he does it with intelligence. He's a very, very, very good teacher. And he's nobody's fool. He could take me to levels that were 20, 30, and sometimes 35% further and more than what I thought I could do. Rudy, it wasn't his teaching, it wasn't his knowledge, it wasn't his style. I wasn't interested in his style, one style versus another. It was the way he pushed me, it was the way he motivated me, and it was the way he was my friend. And so I enjoyed working out with my friend, but I also gave him the respect that was due to him. He is a leader, and he's a quiet leader. He's not a loud leader, he's not an obnoxious leader, and he's not an annoying leader. He's a loving leader,
and he's a smart leader. And I respect that in Rudy. I think that Rudy gets more out of people than people realize. It's fitting that we're in this church today because I think, while it might not be said, I think there's God behind everything that Rudy does. Rudy is dedicated to God. I can see it. He would talk about it. It would come out in his work. It's not something that was left behind. It's not something that took a back seat. It's very clear that with Nora and with Rudy, God is paramount, and God is part of that foundation, the Nora and the Rudy foundation. And make no mistake about it, it's not lip service and it's not words. It is a commitment to God, and it's a commitment to truth, and it's a commitment to helping people. And I respect that, and that is motivating to me as a student as well. So I think the last couple of things that I want to say is that the intention in this man is very clear and very easy to see. He wants to get the best out of you, or out of me, or out of people. You watch him work with kids, you can watch him work with adults, you can watch him work with anybody. And it's very, very clear to me that he is a heat-seeking missile with one objective. He's trying to push you to your limit, and he's trying to get the best out of you. And to somebody who has the life that I have, that's very, very motivating. It's like, wow, here's this guy that he could text, he could be on the phone, he could Slack, he could do whatever he wants, and never, ever, ever has he done that. He is 100% with me. It's like I'm the only person in the world while he's training me. And there's plenty of other coaches and plenty of other teachers and plenty of other masters that'll be on the phone and they'll be texting or they'll be talking to me or whatever. And when every single time I've been with this man, he's been with me. And so he's there 100%. And what's the point? The point is that his intention is to serve. His intention is to help. He is committed. His heart and his soul and his mind and everything about him is to give and is to help and to take you to the level that you're ready to go. And so I'm proud to be here. I'm proud to share my limited experience, but intense experience. 90 minutes workout, you get to know somebody's character pretty quick. He gets to know my character, and I get to know his character. And I can tell you that I'm honored. I'm honored by this man. I'm honored by his character. I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to know Nora. And I respect you, and I love you, and God bless you.
We've talked a lot about Rudy as a teacher, and I think it's about time that we hear from one of his students. Travis Joyner.
My name is Travis. I've known Rudy for about 10 years. I've been training with him since then. Really, like I said, I'm one of his students. I know there's people here that have known him for a lot longer than me. They've been training partners to him. Rudy's been training probably before I was born. Probably forgotten more than I've ever known. But I just want to take this opportunity to point out some of the things that have already been said, coming from a student's point of view. With Rudy, he just really has that spark and that drive. He's always learning. He's always improving. Since I've known him, he's never been the type to say, I know it all, this is how it's done. He's wanting to learn new techniques. He's bringing in people for us to train with. He's constantly staying up to date on what's going on, and that's something that's just really rare and hard to find. Someone that continually has that drive to improve. And on top of that, just his character as a person is just phenomenal. Him being a leader for us and showing us the type of person we should be, outside of the gym, whether we're training or whether we're just hanging out with him, watching fights or whatever. So just want to say thank you, Rudy, for everything you've done, and thank you for being a leader for all of us. I think I speak for all your students, past and present.
The next speaker to come, is a guy that I remember well. Brought lots of pain in my body. And twisted my arms and legs and places that they weren't ever designed to go. But I want to introduce to you Mark Cade. He's a black sash in Choi Lu Foot. I just butchered that. Kung Fu. A master wrestling instructor, a veteran martial artist with over 40 years of experience. He was a 7-time takedown champion in Texas. He was a wrestling coach in the Austin area since the late 80s. He has appeared in over 60 television and film productions. He's worked with martial artists such as Chuck Norris. I'll take a moment. Jean-Claude Van Damme, Billy Blanks, Bolo Young, and more. I bring you Mark Cade.
Well, first I'd like to say thanks for inviting me. Not a public speaker. Put me on a mat and I'll talk all day. So bear with me on my public speaking. I've known Rudy Vasquez since 1981, I want to say. I still think he's older than 50 today. Ask for his ID. I met him at St. Elmo Elementary School. He was teaching an after-school karate program. I came from Iowa where I grew up wrestling, so I knew nothing about point fighting. So I met him and a couple of his friends, and from there, we became lifelong friends. One thing I like about Rudy is he's constantly evolving. He hasn't stuck just with karate. He can be a master and is a master instructor in JKD, Filipino martial arts. He's a great instructor in jiu-jitsu, in karate. He's very super knowledgeable. He hasn't stuck with one brain set his whole life. When I first met him, he was a point fighter, and I remember his ridge hand. He had a killer ridge hand. And along with another master point fighter named, little monster named Patrick Robinette back in the 80s. So I quickly learned I wasn't a point fighter. So we agreed to train together, and I would teach him wrestling, and he'd teach me other styles of martial arts. And until this day, I still call him and ask him questions about certain techniques. I look up to him as a martial art instructor, and most of all, a good friend. Now, with that seriousness said, let me tell you a little story. Rudy was a champion kickboxer at one time, and he had to cut weight for a competition. And I gave him some advice on how to do it, and 3 days before the competition, he calls me up and said he's 15 pounds overweight. And he wanted me to help him cut weight. And I said, okay, but here's the deal. You have to sleep in my house the last day. So for 3 days, he ate nothing, worked his tail off. So the third day he comes to my house, and for sure he's still overweight, and being an ex-wrestler and a wrestler to this day as well, I know how to cut weight quickly. So he was at this point like 15 pounds overweight and had 2.5 days to do it. So all I can say is, I'll tell you the punchline and I'll give you the backstory with it. I don't want to see you naked anymore. And the last night he was there, he was probably 9 pounds overweight, and we had him sweating, working out, jumping rope, and running with plastic on. And then he had to go take a shower. And knowing how to cheat when it comes to cutting weight, if shower waters hit you in the face, you will put your head up and take a drink. So I walked in about 3 minutes after he got in the shower and stood there, and I could see his outline, and he started to put his head up, and I'm like, Rudy, don't drink the water. So Rudy, I hope I never see you again in the shower. I look forward to your friendship. Thank you. Our next speaker, Patrick Robinette. Patrick Robinette has known Rudy for 35 years. And he knows Taekwondo and 6 other Korean words. No. Seriously,
has worked as he is working as the Senior Security Program Manager at the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs here in Austin, President of the Robinette Academy of Personal Protection Inc. He has a black belt in Taekwondo, black belt in Tansudo. He's been a law enforcement defensive tactics instructor, certified peace officer, and a Texas Department of Public Safety firearms instructor. Patrick Robinette.
I got to share a text that Rudy and I shared during the week. I said, okay, Rudy, I'm gonna speak for about 5 minutes. Is that good enough? He says, well, sure, but you're going to be able to say all the good stuff that you need to say about me in 5 minutes. And I said, what are you talking about? I don't know one thing. I'll say it over and over again for 5 minutes. So it's I walk into the bathroom after third or fourth period in the spring of my sophomore year at Crockett High School. That's 1979-ish. It was really busy because that's the period right before lunch. And anyway, I noticed on the way that there's a Karate Illustrated magazine on the shelf. So, Mr. Dagny, you remember the Karate Illustrated, of course, is the periodical of note for the connoisseur, right? Karate Illustrated Black Belt magazine, of course. Anyway, there's one sitting right there. So, anyway, I think to myself, whatever. It's probably this is the beginning of my martial arts career. I think I'm all of a green belt then, Rudy, as I recall, and not necessarily good one at that. But whatever, probably belongs to some wannabe karate guy with an ego and a bad attitude, right? I mean, what else am I going to think about? A Karate Illustrated in the bathroom at Crockett High School. So at any rate, I'm on the way out, and sure enough, this guy with long black hair, kind of looking like an Apache warrior. Anybody remember Rudy back then? I don't know. Family remembers that. Indio, as I recall. Was that right? The word Indio, as I recall, was actually made reference to. Anyway, he looked like an Apache warrior. So, anyway, but interestingly enough, picks up the magazine and speaks kindly to me, Mr. Lopez, and cheerily offers me the greeting of the day. Well, next thing I know, it's 2 years later, and he headbutts me in the 3rd round of my black belt test, and then kicks me in the head on the 12th round of my black belt test and knocks me out. So I was right, in a sense, about the whole ego thing and the mean, because there it was. That was an interesting day, and I don't remember most of it, thanks to Rudy. I do remember looking up from the floor after the 12th fight and going, I don't think Rudy knows David McGarris. Some may know David McGarris, a police officer many years in Austin. I look up and there's David. Smelling salts was there, of course. And then there's, hey, Rudy, what's going on? I had no idea where I was. I woke up and finished, to my mother's chagrin, I woke up and finished the remainder of the, whatever it was, Bill, 20 fights or so, and in fact survived. So, what a day that was. Anyway, and we had a great conversation that day. We finished it up, and we determined that we were going to be able to train together, and I still remember that to this day, Rudy. I think we spent some time together, actually, because it was right before lunch. And so we talked, and a friendship was kindled that day. And on more than one occasion, I'd walk home to his house from Crockett High School, and we'd spend a little while at the house, and then walk over to St. Elmo, where Rudy taught. And interestingly enough, when you're young, sometimes you go back to the places that you frequented and lived, and you think, well, man, you think to yourself, well, that was a long way that I used to walk. That was a long way that I used to walk. And you go back and it was 100 yards, or whatever. And you know how far it is from Crockett High School to Rudy's house? That's a long way, brother. The measure of our commitment, as I recall. So anyway, I'd get to Rudy's house, and when we'd spend some time there, and it is true, his room was like a Bruce Lee shrine. That's absolutely true. It was every bit of a Bruce Lee shrine. And but some of my fondest memories of my early martial arts life are training with Rudy at St. Elmo, and then training at my dad's studio as well. Rudy was patient and proficient, and I credit any of the early tournament success, any of the early tournament success that I had was in no small part due to Rudy's tutoring in those early days. When I think of Rudy, I'm often struck by how the Lord has worked faithfulness in his life. You know, Rudy is faithful to his art, and he is faithful to his Lord, and he's faithful to his friends. I've really noticed that we've had that element going all the way through what everybody has said today. Faithful to his art. He's easily one of the most faithful martial artists I've ever known. Rudy did not become a martial artist. Rudy was born a martial artist. That's who he is. It is woven into his framework. And even when I wanted him as a good friend and would encourage, not that I wanted him to stop altogether, but not to give up his martial arts instructor's life, but at least give it a second place to a more traditional, or more conventional endeavor. He did for about 15 minutes, and then he went back to being what the Lord had made him to be, which is a full-time martial artist, and that's clearly what the Lord has done for him. He's incredibly well-rounded, with an amazing depth of knowledge, and I've lost track many years ago of the instructorships and specialties that Rudy has: Muay Thai and Kali and Arnis and Jeet Kune Do and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Jiu-Jitsu and of course Soto, of course. It's seriously, it's like the real life version of a Jean-Claude Van Damme in Bloodsport. But my dad would have been very proud of you, Rudy. He really would have been very, very proud of you. I remember a young aspiring martial artist once said to him, "Well, Colonel, what's your favorite weapon?" Clearly, a martial arts weapon was the indicator, and he said, "Well, son, I like to start fighting at about a mile with a 20mm cannon cranked up to 6,000 rounds a minute, and then work my way into my knees and elbows." And so, what was the point of that? Well, the point of that was a true martial artist aspires to master the fighting arts, whatever they may be, right? And that's what you've done, Rudy. You have pursued that your whole life, and we celebrate that today. So, faithfulness to your God. If I were asked to characterize Rudy with 3 words, I wouldn't even hesitate: Christian martial artist. There are folks that believe that to be an oxymoron. It's in fact not the case. The truth of the matter is, one of the greatest martial artists in all of history was a man after God's own heart. 1 Samuel 17, verse 32 says, "Don't worry about a thing. I'll go fight this Philistine. Don't be ridiculous," Saul replied. "There's no way you can prevail against this Philistine. You're only a boy." And he's been in the army since he was a boy. David persisted. "I've been taking care of my father's sheep," he said. "When a lion or bear comes to steal a lamb from the flock, I go after it with a club." You caught that, right? "I go after it with a club and take the lamb from its mouth. And if the animal turns on me, I catch it by the jaw and club it to death. I have done this to both lions and bears, and I'll do this to this pagan Philistine." And 2 Samuel goes on to talk about David's mighty men and what they did, slaying 800 warriors in one battle with a spear and 300 warriors in one battle with a spear. Tremendous martial artist, but what do we know about David? He was a man after God's own heart. And Rudy emulates this clearly in anything and everything that he does. And I've seen this over my life with him. He trains and he prepares to serve his God. He trains himself and he prepares others as he serves his God. And finally, faithfulness to his friends. 35 years later, and here we are. Enough said, brother. Except this: Rudy is the exceptional kind of friend that even if I hadn't seen him or talked to him in some time, I know I could call on him and ask him for anything, and he'd move heaven and earth to get it done for me. Of this I have absolutely no doubt. And I know a lot of people, and I have a lot of acquaintances, but only a few very, very good friends. And I'm proud and richly blessed of my Lord to call you my friend and my brother. Congratulations on this well-deserved promotion.
The next speaker, Solis. He is 30 years in Muay Thai, 17 years in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, 17 years in mixed martial arts, black belt under Rico Rodriguez in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He was a trainer of 2 UFC world champions, Rico Rodrigo and Tito Ortiz. He was an MMA coach on The Ultimate Fighter seasons 3 and 11 for Team Ortiz. He is a, and how many times do you get to say this? He is the master of disaster, the Ayatollah of rock and roll. He is Saul Solis.
First, I'd like to thank Rudy for inviting me. It's an honor and a privilege to be here, and I really thank you. I met Rudy probably about maybe 35 years ago. I think it was about 87. We were both doing Muay Thai under a trainer by the name of Chai Sursa. I met him at one of the seminars, and I didn't realize how much time had passed since we met. And since then, we met each other at different seminars, off and on. I started promoting mixed martial arts events about 13 years ago, and Rudy helped me with that by putting some of his guys in there who did tremendous in the event. Also, I definitely need to give a shout out to Guy Mezger. Without him, I couldn't have been able to do what I did. I threw my first fight. It was a disaster, and Guy salvaged it, so I want to thank him while I'm up here because I never got a chance to do that. Getting back to Rudy, once again, he supported my events. So, when I first started promoting mixed martial arts and doing mixed martial arts about 13 years ago, when people asked me what I did for a living, I said landscaping, because nobody knew what it was. And if I said that the fights were held in a cage, right away, you know, they thought that I was going to probably assault them and steal their wallet. So I just tried to chill out, set their mind at ease, and get them off the mixed martial arts tip. After a while, it got popular. Now it's super popular. Everybody watches the UFC. Everybody's doing martial arts now, doing MMA, whether it is or not. You know, it is what it is. But anyway, taking that into consideration, everybody's talked about what a great martial artist he is, and that's, you know, without exception. He is one of the best martial artists on the planet. Instructor, trainer, fighter. He's done it all, and everything he's done at the highest level. But with all that said, when I first got into martial arts, I was watching movies just like everybody else, Bruce Lee, Kung Fu movies, and I always admired the heroes because they could do things that no one else could do. No matter what the obstacle was or how many opponents there were, they always came out on top. And I didn't know if it was a perseverance in their training. I didn't know it was their skill level. I didn't know if it was just them being stronger than the average person. And as I've gotten into this, I got to see all the facets of what we do with regards to martial arts, people who participate, fans, as well as instructors. And I've come to realize that there's a brotherhood, mindset brotherhood of what we do. But in that brotherhood, there's always going to be politics. There's always going to be somebody that's unhappy. There's always going to be somebody that's not happy with their skill set or their accomplishments. And they're always trying to undermine someone else. So when I first got into promoting, every boxing guy on the planet wanted me to stop. They wanted me to go under. And trust me, I invested every single dime I had in it, and it was never to become rich. I had a lot of fighters. Rudy had a lot of fighters. Guy had a lot of fighters. We all wanted a place for our guys to fight. So I took it upon myself to put together the events. They were successful to us because our guys got a chance to exercise their skill. Everybody got a chance to watch them, admire the fact that they dedicated themselves to something that was beyond the scope of what we did on a normal basis, on an everyday basis. Two guys got to get in the gym. Two guys got to get in the cage, got to compete, better man won, but at the same time they became friends for life. That's the way the events ran. I don't know how they were in the karate tournaments because I didn't get a chance to participate in a lot of those, but that's how the fighting was. And I kept doing it year after year, and year after year I lost money. I got deeper and deeper in debt, but I persevered because I knew what I was doing was for the greater good of the particular martial art that I was in. So anyway, as the speaker that was before me said, Rudy decided to take a sabbatical teaching martial arts, and he joined the Box Commission. And unfortunately, this is a story that's on the other side of funny, but it was very dear to me. So getting back to being heroic, I was probably in my 10th year of promoting, and it was going nowhere. It was getting worse every day. The box commission was making it much tougher. They wanted to see me fail. They did not want me to succeed. I'm not whining or crying about it, but I knew that I had to do it for everybody else that was involved, besides them. Because for them, it's all about money. And for me, it was about giving our guys a chance to do something. So Rudy joined the box commission. And every time I saw him at one of the events, he always shook my hand, always wished me well, helped me with anything that I needed, including putting guys in the event, which is something he didn't have to do. So this went on for a while. And I don't remember how long he worked for the box commission. But at the same time, there came a day when he was having a meeting. He was meeting with his lateral counterparts. And they were grinding me in the dirt. They were so unhappy with the fact that I had persevered for 10 years. And they couldn't figure out how to get me to quit. When they never realized it was never about the cash anyway, I wasn't going to quit. You know, I was going to let them bury me before I'd bury myself. So Rudy championed my cause. He didn't have to do it. He knew his job was on the line. He knew that he wasn't making any friends by championing my cause. And I was, at that time, the only promoter left. They had buried everybody else. So Rudy, and you know, I'd like to think it's because he's a friend, and I believe it is, but on another level, I think that he's always going to champion the underdog. He's always going to try to protect people that can't protect themselves. I think he's always going to have the integrity that if he sees something that he doesn't like, he's going to say something about it. And he did. Now, he didn't tell me this. I didn't know this went on. I was 10 years into it. I wanted to give up. I was sick of it. You know, they were undermining my success, and they were just trying to, once again, sabotage anything that I tried to do to promote the arts. So what happened was, eventually, they asked him to leave. And once again, I didn't know why Rudy left. I had no idea. I thought everything was good. I thought the box commission was his dream job, which for all of us who are into this, it would be. So after he had left the commission without a lot of fanfare, a lot of hoopla, 2 years later, I was talking to one of the guys that were in the room when he was in the room defending me. And the guy told me what happened. And I couldn't believe it. My jaw dropped. Because nobody had ever done that for me before. And he didn't have to do it. He didn't have to put himself in the crosshairs. My battle. But he did it. And I had to stop for a second. I pulled over. And I just had to catch myself. Because I was so overwhelmed by the fact that a guy that knew me, but didn't know me well, would champion my cause, would take up for me when I wasn't there. And I thought, you know what, that's what a hero's all about. You know, we talk about mentorship all the time. What we do, and we try to mentor people that are up and coming, that have gaps, have flaws in their character, in their personality, or in their personal life. And this guy, once again, he exemplifies that. He's a hero on every level. He shows you that you don't have to punch somebody in the face. You don't have to choke somebody out. He's still a hero because he's not going to let anybody assassinate your character. He has integrity beyond integrity. And I just want to thank him for being my friend. And championed my cause and didn't have to. No, always going to be in it. But I thank you. I'm honored to be here. And congratulations on your promotion.
The next speaker tonight is Mezger. Guy's a 7th degree black belt with Chung Du Kwan, 2nd degree black belt with Korshuken Karate, 1st degree black belt in Judo, brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, certified Pancrase hybrid wrestling instructor. He has been, as far as titles, he was a UFC 13 champion, 3-time king of Pancrase, world kickboxing champion, world freestyle fighting champion, 2-time world full contact karate champion. He had a combined fight record of 125 wins, 17 losses, and 3 draws. Amazing. He is the owner of Guy Mezger Combat Sports Club in Dallas, Texas. For the last 25 years, he's worked with children, he's worked with adults, federal law enforcement agencies, and various special forces units of the United States military. Guy's trained many professional combat athletes, including UFC champions Ken Shamrock, Oleg Todorov, Jerry Bolander. But aside from martial arts, Guy Mezger is the managing partner and holistic health practitioner at Optimal Health Specialist. He received his degree in holistic health and is a certified holistic health practitioner and has a PhD in natural health sciences at the University of Natural Medicine. Guy Mezger.
Thank you. Rudy, I really appreciate being invited to come down and talk about you. I've also known Rudy, I don't know the math, but I met him when I was 14. I'm 45 now, so someone do the math for me. That's how many years I've known Rudy. You know, I'm a little stuck at trying to come up with something that nobody hasn't already said about you. Because I think people make the mistake of venerating our martial artists as if everybody is Mr. Miyagi. You know, the reality is most martial arts instructors out there that teach out there, they're not worth their salt. They're not good instructors, they're not teaching good martial arts. There's only a handful of guys out there that have the integrity to teach real martial arts. There's a lot of money made in martial arts teaching, you know, 2 years, you know, they have 6-year-old black belts and, you know, things like that. That's not what Rudy's about. It's not what I'm about. I mean, if Rudy was that kind of a guy, I wouldn't be here. He's had a tremendous amount of integrity. You know, he's going to be introduced his 6th degree. Those of you guys don't realize, the 6th degree is your master level. And again, I find the older that we get, everybody gets to be a master because of just age, you know? And I notice I can sit around now and watch some of the old guys, and the older they get, the more degrees they have, the more and more they have, and they really haven't done anything outside of that, you know? And so I think, you know, it's refreshing to actually have somebody get a master degree that really is a master. Because I believe a master is never really done learning. You know, I've been involved in combat athletes and combat martial arts since I was 8 years old. And people always look at me like, you know, how serious can you be? Well, I started as a wrestler, like most people. Don't really look at wrestling as martial art, but wrestling is the oldest and one of the finest martial arts ever. And after I became a serious athlete, people always looked at me and they go, how can that be? You're 8 years old. I said, well, my coach gave me a sign. He said, take this above your bed. The sign said, if you can read this, you're being pinned. So for 20 years, I slept on my stomach. That's attitude. That's right off the bat that you learn. And I'll tell you something. That's kind of the attitude that Rudy brings into this thing. He brings a tremendous amount of integrity to his martial arts practice. And like I said, I'm probably most critical of the martial arts because as a martial arts instructor, you know, I'm embarrassed by what I think is the downfall of martial arts today. It's embarrassing. I saw karate take a nosedive in the 80s, you know, and it was, to me, it was embarrassing because, you know, this is something I live, eat, and breathe every single day. And Rudy has always kept the integrity. He's always been that guy that's going to teach. As you guys know, you know, he is a Mr. Miyagi. He is somebody that you would trust your children to look up to. You would trust yourself to look up to. You wouldn't have to worry about Rudy, you know, doing something that was unethical or immoral or, you know, or not teaching him to the best of his ability. You wouldn't have to worry about that. And on top of it, you know, we really haven't touched on that Rudy actually was an extremely successful combat athlete. And outside of, since we don't fight wars with sticks and knives and swords and stuff, combat athletes is the way that we get to measure how we can how well you can work in martial arts. It's, it is a socially accepted way for you to develop your fighting skills. And Rudy was an undefeated kickboxing champion. And I had the honor, one of my training partners, Trey Tullyman, who couldn't make it down today. I told Trey about it, and he actually had to go out of town. But we got to coach him on his last kickboxing fight. He defended his United States title, and and I like to think of myself as a pretty good coach. I think of myself as being kind of a lucky coach. And Rudy told me that. He actually shared with me, he goes, but I kept telling him that he used to throw the right hand to the body and left round kick to the head. And Rudy was like, I'm not really a great kicker in my left leg. I don't know if he knows this, but I'm going to go ahead and try it. And knock the guy out with it. And I was thinking, I'm a genius. You have to listen. I just got lucky for what I got. But I had, we had this excellent example of what martial arts should be. And like I said, I've seen so many great things and changes in martial arts, pros and cons, in my experiences. I too grew up loving Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris. I watched Octagon 5 times in a row. I had to sneak into it because I wasn't old enough to go. And I snuck into it and I hid behind the things. I watched it 5 times in a row. And I was going to be a martial artist after that. And I said, I think we all get inspired by this stuff. But what keeps you inspired? Everybody wants to be, listen, most of us got into martial arts because we want to be, stronger and tougher. We saw these visions. And like my gym, we're a tough gym. We have a reputation for producing, strong athletes and everything. Even though 90% of my clientele, they're not gonna actually climb in the ring or anything. But every single one of them, deep down, doesn't admit it, but he thinks he's Spartacus. And each one of us thought that. That's why we stepped in where we were going. And but it takes a great trainer to keep you going, because once you realize you're not Spartacus, most people quit. They don't have the gumption to do it. But a good martial arts instructor keeps people in there, keeps them going, fired up. Rudy, I said, not only is an accomplished athlete, but he's also trained a lot of really good athletes, which shows that what he's doing works. There's a lot of, I know a lot of guys are, I've got 210 black belts. What did any of them do? Any of them do anything? I don't know. Maybe they have, maybe they haven't. But you see, like Rudy's, he's had athletes that have competed at the highest level of competition in all kinds of different arts: boxing, kickboxing, mixed martial arts. And that says a lot about the level of instruction that you're getting from a guy like this. But it also should tell you guys it takes a tremendous amount of passion, because in order to get out, in order for you to work with these students, kids or adults, doesn't matter, professional athlete, non-professional athlete, or housewife, it takes a tremendous amount of passion and desire for you to step up and help this person, each and every one of them. And those of you guys that are martial arts instructors, you guys know what I'm talking about. Those of you guys who aren't, you just have to appreciate that I'm telling you the truth, because it takes a lot. And when you see yourself, when I was thinking about what would I say, what would be the thing that I would say about Rudy that would kind of be like the one thing to say. I would say he's a passionate guy. He's completely passionate about his martial arts. He's completely passionate about the success of people. He's completely passionate about his own growth as a martial artist. Very few guys are willing to get outside of their little world of martial arts. And a lot of my old karate instructors didn't want to. When I started kickboxing, they were like, oh, why would you want to do that? I want to do something different. So there's very he's very passionate about that. And like I said, those of you guys that are students will know that passion. And I'm just honored kind of talking in circles now, so I will cut it short on it. But he's a man of God, true man of God, and he is just a phenomenal human being. Rudy is. People ask me all the time, who like students that have been moved down to Austin, who would you recommend? Without a doubt, I always say Rudy. Because I can also tell you that the most beautiful part about Rudy is if these people don't live close enough to him, he'll actually say, hey, listen, I'm probably not a good mix for you because I'm too far away. Let me recommend somebody else to you. How many people do that? Oh man. It just shows you the type of character he is, the type of person he is. And to be honest, the fact that you're just now getting your 6th degree just shows that people haven't woken up and seen that long enough, because you're way overdue for the 6th degree. Congratulations.
Before our final presenter comes up today, I just want to take a minute myself and to say congratulations, Rudy. You are deserving of the promotion. And, Rudy is, it was always a good time laughing and joking with him. But at the end of the day, after you've been with him, you always felt better. Just felt better about the day or yourself. And there's far too few people like that. So we always want to give honor to those who are in that place, and they make others feel better about themselves, and they make others feel like they can take on the world, and Rudy does that. And our final presenter this afternoon, Master Chris Lopez. He's currently a 9th Dan. He began Shoyu Karate in 1967 at the Pan Am Center. He was the second Joe Alvarez student to test for black belt. He was an APD officer from 1966 to 1974. He was during that time, he was also the APD defensive tactics instructor. He headed a state Texas fraud investigations unit in San Antonio that covered 10 county area. He served on the Comal County Child Welfare Board. He helped to train the Comal County SWAT team. He served as an entry man on that team. He opened schools in Austin and in Bronxville. When Joe Alvarez retired in 1988, Master Lopez was promoted to 6th Dan, and the reign of leadership was turned over to him. He then went on to promote 22 of Alvarez's first Dans so that he could focus on his own students. And as we all know, that you see so many times the instructor you see in the student. I've never met Master Lopez, but I have met Rudy. And so I'm pretty sure that Master Lopez is a really good guy. So I bring to you our final presenter today, Master Chris Lopez.
Well, Rudy, I'm not going to your funeral. I've heard all the obituaries today I need to hear. That's marvelous stuff. I want you to know, folks, we got here and I was thinking, if I've done this right, I want to be sure I'm on the right course here. Now, Mr. Mezger said something here that, and both of these judo coaches, jiu-jitsu coaches, Muay Thai, just really appreciative of their words. His last words was he says, you deserve more than 5th Dan. Well, I'm in total agreement now. Where's Nora?
Nora.
Okay. Whose idea was it to call me in the first place about 4 months ago, 3-4 months ago? Was that you, Rudy, or was that Nora? The question was, why would you call me? And we had the discussion that we did. I appreciate it. And after hearing everything tonight, I appreciate it all the more. There's an organization started, and it's called the Soto Karate Association. They're trying to get things going. Now, these people that I have sitting here, by the way, I've been in the martial arts 47 years. Maybe I promoted 13 black belts. 4 of them sit on this table. I'm a great believer that not everybody needs to be a brown belt, much less a black belt. And I'm really concerned because all I've seen with karate is going downhill. I mean, our organization now is called the Soto Karate Kickbox and Mixed Martial Arts Federation, because in my mind, what the martial arts have always been about is using whatever's out there to do what needs to be done. And it sure isn't karate as we see it today. It just isn't. The reason I got into karate 47 years ago was because it was something I'd always seen. It was a way to protect yourself, a way to defend yourself, and I don't believe in defense. It's all about offense, at least in my mind. Eventually it gets to offense. As a police officer and as the instructor out there, I didn't teach it because, and no offense to the people who love kata, kata has its place, I'm sure, but it's always a minimum to me. I taught police officers how to handle themselves on the street. Unfortunately, at least in my mind, most police officers don't make good fighters. The few that I knew that were good fighters were the ones who trained me 100%, and they never got hurt. Yeah, they got hurt. Got bottles broken over the head, a cue stick broken over the head, things like that, but they stayed up and took the man to the hospital. That's just the way it is. You want to, the man who's standing is the last man standing is what it's all about. That's the way I always taught this stuff. Now, I had a great mentor on the Alta Police Department. He was a second-degree judo coach, judo instructor, Tom Graham. He was about 6'3", about 240 pounds. He was a real friendly sort of guy. He was in uniform one day. He was undercover all the time, detective, but he was in uniform one day for a big parade, and a float come down in the parade. There was a fellow from the Austin Statesman, a very liberal gentleman, sitting there, and he gave a wave to Tom Graham that wasn't the kind of wave you normally do when you're being friendly toward people. And if there are any people who, Tom stopped the parade. He said, "Let me see that finger." The guy put his hand out, Tom broke the finger, and then he said, "You can move it on now." That's the kind of guy Tom Graham was. Now, I know that sounds brutal. It was brutal. It was brutal. He was my mentor because when I came in as a cadet, I just got out of the U.S. Army and I could do push-ups all day long. That was the big thing with Tom. Then he put me in against the guys, one of the other cadets who outweighed me about 30 pounds, and I hit him like that. And I could do no wrong with Tom. Tom had a student who was a brown belt there, but when he left as the instructor, he put me in his place, and that's how I got into instructing police officers. But I had my stuff down. I could handle things. Now, here's where I had my misgivings. Here's a phone call from Rudy, and we start talking. And Rudy, I want you to know I get called all the time from people who are looking and wondering about promotion, this, that. But the more I talk about Rudy, this guy, he's for real. But even when I got here, I hope you prayed on this, Rudy. Did you? Because I love to be an answer to prayers. Okay? One thing I heard tonight about Rudy, and I believe this very sincerely, is that when you're in the service of your fellow beings, you're only in the service of your God. And that's what we're all about. We're really about serving others. It's not about the rank. And if I rank up, it's because I want my people to rank. I have a man here who's right here, Sandy. He's a 6th Dan, but he's also a black belt in judo. He was Chicago all wrestling champion in high school. And that's the kind of, I have another man here who's he's promoting MMA, JC Productions, and right now there's this, will be in March, she'll have a $50,000 contract for someone who's worthy of it, maybe 5 of those, is that right? And Mr. Lucier was always a winner in the fighter, the same with Bill Daggett. All my boys who are black belts come up. I don't have but one senior person who didn't fight on a full contact team. That's how I've done it with my people. I just don't believe in promoting black belts unless they can handle themselves. Unless they can handle someone walking in the door who wants a challenge match or whatever. That's the kind of people I believe I have. So I'm getting this phone call from Rudy here. And we talked and we talked, and he never said who he was at first, just like this. And then I learned more about him, and I think this is bona fide. But even when I got here, I'm thinking, have I made a mistake here? And no. And when I heard this good gentleman talk, and the others of you all who talked, and then particularly judo and jiu-jitsu people back here, and Muay Thai people, well, we've done right here. And really, we're gonna do something here tonight. Where are my glasses? I think I ought to read this one, Bill. I wonder if I could have my people up here, you two good gentlemen who spoke here, you two, get your Muay Thai folks, will you? Kind of explained it. Now we're talking about men who have been in the fourth band for many years. Mr. Vasquez began his martial arts career in 1974 when he began studying Soto Karate with Mr. Joel Vidal. However, financial hardship at his young age necessitated his mother taking him from one Soto Karate instructor to another, all in the Austin area, ultimately causing him hardship regarding promotion. You can come up here, but you need to be up there. Yeah. Sorry about that. And please stand right there, sir. In 1979, he began studying Taekwondo, and in 1983, Kung Fu Do. The year 1986 saw him studying armies with Manolo-san and Grandmaster Remy A. Presses. In 1987, he began the study of Jeet Kune Do under Sandra Santo. That same year, he trained with Surachi Sirisuku, president of the U.S. Boxing Association. He began making trips to Dallas to train Muay Thai with Jason Webster. In 1993 and 94, he began studying with Petticar's, Hernan Suwanda, and Paul de Thors, and Bukti Singh Nagara Salat. It was 1995 when he began his studies of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with Kleber Luciano. Is that correct? Now?
Most commander instructor before.
Okay. If you want to name, you can. Okay. And is currently a brown belt in that discipline. You'll be tested for black belt in the future. Look at that. Okay. His ranking in this art, if none other, speaks volumes, mirroring my feelings about ranking to brown and black. And I want you all to know that what I've been pushing for, and in fact, I did open a school a few years ago, and I hooked up with a world-class wrestling instructor. We were going to try to make something go with mixed martial arts. Financially, he failed me. But we were looking at direction. Mr. Vasquez had his first full contact kickboxing fight in 1982. In 15 years as a kickboxer, he was undefeated and held a Texas state title and 2 different U.S. titles. He is an instructor of champions and include a fighter in KI, 4 regional gold gloves champions, 2 national gold gloves champions, 2 boxers from the U.S. boxing team, and 1 pro fighter for a boxing world title. He has trained MMA champions and fighters for IFL, Elite XC, Strikeforce, Bellator, and the UFC. And as this all, Mr. Vasquez is a man of high morals, a follower of Christ. Now I got that pretty clearly, and that had a lot to do with this. A few months ago, Mr. Vasquez called. He advised that he is currently ranked at 4th dan in Soto Karate. This after 39 years in the martial arts. Over the years, he has been asked to be considered for advancement. In the last case, one senior instructor advised him he needed to be more qualified for promotion to 5th dan. Amazing. We find precedent, and I'm talking to myself and my board, we find precedent in the armed forces of the United States that when an officer is made a prisoner of war, he continues to rank as if he were president. Having taken into account Mr. Vasquez's contributions to the martial arts, and with the aim of ranking him commensurate with his talents and contributions, we shall follow such precedent. While Mr. Vasquez was absent, as some may have supposed, he was fully involved, much more so than many who lay claim to higher rank. We will promote him as if he had been present, and so look at that, during his 39 years of pursuing every facet of the martial arts available to him. I love that. We push for whatever works out there. You all have now, you've got videos, you've got instructors all over everywhere. When I started, there were 2 instructors of karate in Austin and 1 judo instructor. Now, your words here. This is the 4th then, but talking about this president. It is the ruling of this advancement board that Mr. Vasquez be advanced, and on this 12th day of October 2013, commensurate with his abilities. We hereby advance Mr. Rudy Vasquez to the rank of Chichi Dan, or 7th Dan. In the not too distant future, maybe a few years, several years, when you get a little gray hair, consideration will be given to waiving the age requirements for the advancement up to 8th Dan. We give Mr. Vasquez our hearty endorsement and welcome him to sit on this committee of higher rank advancement, which committee is staffed by those who have literally fought for the right to be there. In placing our signatures on this advancement order, we pledge to give him full support. So saying, Lopez, Jeff Benugli 8th Dan, Jesse Rozier 8th Dan, Sancho Ligo 6th Dan, Bill Daggett 5th Dan. Now, you will note that we have 2 people, one is 6th Dan and 5th Dan, who are willing to promote this man to 7th Dan over themselves on what we've learned tonight. We congratulate Mr. Vasquez. He's fully ready. Such a select company here. Thank you so much.
Can we get all the speakers up here? Is that possible? Real quick, anybody who's not today, come on up.
That would be you.
know you all are. First of all, of course, I want to thank everybody for being here. I know a lot of y'all have a lot of things that y'all could be doing better than this. And again, a lot of y'all are really busy and have other things you could be doing. Some of y'all travel from out of town, and that really means a lot to me. So I don't want to just say this really quick and like I don't mean it. I sincerely mean heartfelt thank you to everybody who showed up today to experience this with me. I really appreciate all the loving and kind words that were said. I do it because I love it, but I also do it because I get to meet people like y'all, my students, my instructors, my colleagues. This is why I do it, for these reasons. I appreciate all y'all coming out here. And again, I want to go ahead. Where's Pastor Leo? Come on up, sir. I'm going to ask blessing over the food so we can eat. And again, I just want to thank everybody who spoke up here. I appreciate your kind words. And thank you, especially for taking time out of your day to come and spend it with me. So thank you very much.
Let's all stand with you. Pray. Father, we thank you for the event. We thank you for Rudy, for Nora, for their friends, and all that has been said and shared. And we're most grateful that at the foundation of everything that Rudy and Nora are about is Christ, and that they're vocal about that, and not in an obnoxious way, but just letting people know that it's about Christ and their faith in you. We're grateful for that, and let the character shines through. It's demonstrated in all the comments tonight. We ask you to bless our time. We're grateful for everybody that's here. Pray for safe travels as they return back to their place tonight. And bless our food and our fellowship tonight in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, I think the food is, we'll start on this end of the table. They have the plates and forks and knives and everything set up. By the way, Dr. Lindsey Duncan has his delicious drinks. He kindly donated her over there. If you want to try the product out, it's very good. We have tea, water, food, wherever they eat.